and single incision laparoscopic surgery. It will take 5-10 minutes, and we'll go to today's topic. This is the acronym for it is NOTE, your natural orifice transluminal endoscopic surgery. And in this image, you can see this is not related to gynae, obviously, but an endoscope is inserted in the mouth, to the esophagus, into the stomach, and the device is passed to the gallbladder after it's piercing the stomach wall. So they are trying to perform surgery on the gallbladder without having any incision on the abdomen. Now, how about in gynae? So the transvaginal access appears to be the safest and potentially the one with the least complications for the surgery of nodes. So this is an image where you can see there is a glove which is insufflated and it has supports going in through this glove. Now, behind the uterus, there is a pouch of Douglas through which this opening is created and the abdomen is insufflated and the surgery is performed from below. A few surgeries are already being performed, especially removal of ovarian cysts, etc., by this route. And single incision laparoscopic surgery is another surgery in which you can have just one port through the umbilicus. I couldn't get images of this one. And if you look up on the net, you can find images where there's just one port entry and through which multiple instruments can be passed and the surgery can be performed through a single port. And essentially, it becomes a surgery without any scars. That is also the case with the NOTE surgery, which is again natural orifice transluminal endoscopic surgery. Okay, so this is all about notes and can you see the slide? ये slide दिख रही है ना? Chemotherapy and all. इसको डाउनलोड करना पड़ेगा मेरे ख्याल से. इसको डाउनलोड कर लेते हैं.
यही है ना?
हाँ.
यहाँ लिख दो, ये ऊपर में गूगल ड्राइव स्लाइड्स, तो यहाँ खुल जाएगा. यहाँ से प्रेजेंट कर लो.
So the aim of chemotherapy can be curative, which can be complete, partial, or to prevent recurrence. It can be adjunct, neoadjuvant, or it can be palliative. What is the meaning of the word palliative? It means that the patient cannot be cured of the disease, but we can reduce the intensity of the disease for the patient. For example, a patient with metastatic disease, so there may be some relief in the pain or in the size of the lesions for the patient. This topic is very vast, so I will try and speak in these 4 subheadings: the concept of cell kinetics, the principles of chemotherapy, anti-neoplastic drugs, and what is specific to obs and gynae. Now, we all know that various cells have patterns of growth. Static cells or neurons, expanding cells are the GI mucosa, hair follicles, and there are renewing cells which are otherwise in the quiescent stage, like for example, it is the liver. There is cancer cell growth. kind of growth. Now there's a Gomez growth where the tumor volume increases and its mass doubling time becomes progressively longer. So when the tumor volume is so huge that it's occupying the entire space, then the doubling time will become more because the tumor is not having space to expand. What do you understand by growth fraction? The growth fraction is the amount of time in which the cells will grow. So this is affected by cytotoxic therapy, by hormones, by X-rays, immunological therapies, and oxygen and vascular supply. Now this is a cell cycle that you're all familiar with. Uh, we have the G0 phase. I'm starting off with the concept outside the cycle, where most of our cells are lying in the quiescent phase. There is then a M phase in which mitosis occurs. What is mitosis? It is simply a division of the DNA. Then there is a G1 or a phase in which there is protein synthesis. And then there is a DNA synthesis phase or the S phase. And there is a gap2 phase. And again, it goes back to mitosis. Now, in this image, you can see that the cell cycle has a very specific, we have mentioned a few of the agents, chemotherapeutic agents, and where they act. For example, etoposide, vinca alkaloids, and taxanes, they act on the M phase. 5-fluorouracil, methotrexate, and doxorubicin will act on the S phase. Now, this is something that you'll have to remember. But then we will clarify this further as we go along. What are the principles of chemotherapy? The various mechanisms of actions are disrupts DNA RNA synthesis, they affect critical cellular enzymes, they alter protein synthesis. So there is different kinds of cells or different sensitivity to either chemotherapy or to radiotherapy. And drugs can be cell cycle specific or non-specific. So like I told you in the previous slide, etoposide is specific to the M phase. 5-fluorouracil is specific to the S phase. Pardon me. However, there are some chemotherapeutic agents such as cyclophosphamide and ifosfamide, which are ये पानी पी सकते हैं ना? Which are non-specific to the cycle. And therefore can act on cells which are both in the resting phase and in the active proliferating phase. So what is the significance of this? Number one, these drugs will be more toxic because they will also be acting on cells which are otherwise quiescent, so they may not be malignant. Vis-a-vis a chemical agent that acts on rapidly dividing cells, it is more likely to act only on cancer cells. So again, we come back to the same slide. Etoposide, taxanes, cisplatin. These, the one that we mentioned on the gap2, G2, is one which is a quiescent phase for many. And there, all of these cells, cyclophosphamide, cisplatin, carboplatin, will all act on these and on the active quiet cells. Now, the above three concepts, I'll not talk about log kill drug resistance too much for you. Combination chemotherapy is when there is a limitation of single drug therapy, then it enhances the log kill. Now, I'll have to touch upon that topic for you. I didn't want to do it, but then the percentage of cells that are killed in one cycle of chemo, that is enhanced when you have a combination of chemotherapeutic agents. So when you I'll be teaching you the treatments of various malignancies in gynae like carcinoma ovary, you will find that most are combination chemotherapeutic agents. There is reduction in drug resistance. The drug interaction can be additive, synergistic, or antagonistic. So, how do you design a drug combination? Number one, they should have different mechanism of action. So, if one is acting on the S phase, the other should be acting on the GAP1 phase. They should be active as single agent also. That is how when they work together they can act on that particular tumor. Then the biochemical basis should be at least additive or synergistic. The toxicity should be different. So if this should not be both cardiotoxic or hepatotoxic, and they should both be administered intermittently. So what about the anti-neoplastic drugs that we know? Alkylating agents, like we in the brackets you can see that we have already discussed that chemotherapeutic agents can be cell cycle non-specific or specific. So all alkylating agents are non-specific, alkylating like agents are non-specific, anti-tumor antibodies are cell cycle specific, anti-metabolites are again specific, and plant alkaloids. Examples. Over here, uh, you have the first drug that comes to you on your image is cyclophosphamide. It is more often used in soft tissue sarcomas. It has a very strong toxicity in the bladder and on the bone marrow. Ifosfamide is very effective for cervix and ovary. Alkylating like agents, these are the ones that are we most commonly be using for ovarian malignancies. Cisplatin and carboplatin. They both cisplatin and carboplatin are not used together. They are used in combination with other agents. The route is IV. They have nephrotoxicity, tinnitus, nausea, vomiting, myelosuppression. Cisplatin is very effective in GCT, choriocarcinoma, cervical cancer, and ovarian cancers. Carboplatin, it less neuropathy or ototoxicity, nephrotoxicity, it causes thrombocytopenia. Again, it is an alternative drug for CA ovary and germ cell carcinomas. In this list, I'm sure you're able to read the list yourself. I will focus on the examples like anti-tumor agents such as bleomycin. Bleomycin is very commonly used for germ cell tumors of the ovary. They cause fever, pulmonary toxicity, and anaphylaxis. Again, doxorubicin is used in CA endometrium and it causes myelosuppression, alopecia, cardiotoxicity, nausea, vomiting, and mucosal ulceration. Methotrexate, this is an anti-metabolite. It causes ulceration, myelosuppression, liver toxicity, and pneumonitis. It is very effective for choriocarcinoma. 5-fluorouracil is an IV drug. It causes myelosuppression, nausea, vomiting, anorexia, and alopecia, and a disease treated as ovary. Gemcitabine is an IV drug. It causes myelosuppression, nausea, and vomiting, and it is useful in ovarian and uterine malignancies. Plant alkaloids. Vincristine, vinblastin, they're all very effective in germ cell tumors. And paclitaxel, speak more about paclitaxel. It is very commonly used with cisplatin and carboplatin in combination and in ovarian cancer, especially germ cell in surface epithelial tumors. It toxicity causes myelosuppression, alopecia, and cardiac arrhythmias. So, what are the newer drugs? Imatinib mesylate and monoclonal antibodies such as rituximab. I have given you a list in front of all the drugs, but all of these drugs can have impact on any of the organs, liver, no, the GI tract, the bone marrow, gonadal dysfunction, secondary malignancies. There can be cardiac toxicities, and most importantly, immune suppression. So, what are the considerations when you are prescribing a patient any of these chemotherapeutic agents? So, you must consider the natural history of a particular malignancies. Then, so for example, carcinoma ovary can be a low threshold disease, or it can be highly malignant disease which has developed over a period of weeks. So, which agent you will use will vary on the natural history of the disease, the patient's circumstances and tolerance, the age, the comorbid factors, whether there are any previous surgeries, how will you be able to monitor, evaluate, or treat the drug toxicities, and a very important aspect is the patient's financial situation. Likelihood of the drug working or not. So, is this particular drug that we're talking about, curative, or does it improve survival, or previously has not been shown any benefit to the patient to this particular disease? AML is a known secondary neoplasm. Now, the issue of have you considered this in younger patients? The issue of infertility is very important. Infertility can occur when you're giving chemotherapy or radiotherapy. The ovarian tissues can be destroyed. So the concept of cryopreservation is there, wherein some people have their ovaries removed and preserved for future fertility. And what if a patient is pregnant? Would you consider her giving her chemotherapy? If it is life saving, yes, and you have to consider an abortion. So, in obstetrics, we use chemotherapeutic agents such as methotrexate for ectopic pregnancies. In molar pregnancies, methotrexate is used as a prophylactic agent for preventing recurrence. However, methotrexate is not effective in placental site trophoblastic tumors where surgery is most important. Gestational trophoblastic diseases. Now, in low risk disease, when the WHO says you will not, are you familiar with the WHO score? Let me talk about that first. The WHO score is done based on the presentation of the patient when they present with gestational trophoblastic disease. So, what is gestational trophoblastic disease? It's a patient presents nowadays in pregnancy where it is very often coming to you as an incomplete or a missed abortion. And when you send those products or the products that you have taken out from the uterus for testing, they come out as gestational trophoblastic disease. Then we go in for testing for beta HCG and investigation to see whether the disease is there in the lungs or the brain or anywhere else in the body. So there's a WHO scoring system that takes into account the beta-HCG that was done at initial presentation, the drug release in the lungs and in the brain, and the age of the patient, the parity of the patient, everything is taken into consideration. So when the score is less, then we have a better prognosis, and we use agent like actinomycin D or methotrexate. And if there is a score which is higher, then we use the IMACO regimen. IMACO is etoposide, methotrexate, actinomycin D, and I'll just tell you what the other two are. And when there are brain mets, we use with methotrexate. Cervical cancer is treated with concurrent chemoradiation. So the logic of doing concurrent chemoradiation, first you must understand what is concurrent chemoradiation. So if the patient is in plan to be given radiotherapy in this within the coming 3 or 4 days, so today the patient will be given chemotherapy, especially cisplatin or 5-fluorouracil, and that sensitizes the cervical malignant cells to the radiation. So that is the concept of concurrent chemoradiation. Then that is a very basic treatment nowadays offered for carcinoma cells. It has very good results. It radiotherapy के बारे में we study separately, but it can be given as teletherapy or brachytherapy, that is from a distant or from close. All right, but you must understand that along with that, nowadays we are giving what is called CCRT or concurrent chemoradiation. All right. So, palliative chemotherapy can be given in stage 4B of C. endometrium and recurrent diseases. Neoadjuvant chemotherapy has been shown to have no benefits. Recurrence of any of these conditions, we use topotecan or cisplatin. Vaginal cancers, there is no role of any of chemotherapeutic agents. Surgery is the primary care. However, 5-fluorouracil or cisplatin can be considered. Endometrial cancers. Primarily, the treatment for endometrial cancers is surgery. So first you operate upon the patient, you remove the uterus, ovaries, you remove the lymph nodes in the pelvic area, and you see the stage of the disease. So after this stage, if it is still stage 3 and above, or stage 1 is within the uterus, stage 2 is limited to the pelvis, stage 3 is in the abdominal cavity. So if it is stage 1, beyond stage 1, then chemotherapy, radiotherapy are advised. Okay. Uh, what chemotherapeutic agent would you use? Cisplatin, doxorubicin, or paclitaxel may be used. And when you use combination chemotherapy, the response rate is very good in endometrial carcinomas. The treatment is palliative with more tolerable toxicity profile for hormonal treatment. Okay, so what about uterine sarcomas? Again, for the primary treatment of uterine sarcomas, the disease it is metastatic, and adjuvant treatments can be used. For example, doxorubicin, ifosfamide, cisplatin, etc. Now, ovarian cancers. Ovarian cancers can be germ cell tumors and they can be epithelial cell tumors. So, in epithelial cell tumors, the role is adjuvant, neoadjuvant. When what do we say adjuvant? First, the patient gets operated, the malignancy is removed, and then you give chemotherapy. What is neoadjuvant? 3 cycles or 4 cycles of chemotherapy are given. Depending on the patient response, the surgery is planned after that. And the surgery is done, and again, further cycles, remaining cycles of chemotherapy are given. What is salvage therapy or recurrence therapy? If there is a disease, a recurrence, then you have to give again some chemotherapeutic agent. Like I told you, we are using carboplatin and paclitaxel as of present. Recurrence may be relapse after more than 6 months is platinum sensitive. If it is less than 6 months, then it is platinum refractory. So cisplatin or carboplatin की sensitivity नहीं है अगर relapse occurs in less than 6 months. So if it's a stable disease, you don't do anything about it, and there is a progression in spite of chemotherapy, then you continue with whatever you're planning, your chemo you had given. Germ cell tumors, BEP regimen or VAC regimen is given. Bleomycin, etoposide, and paclitaxel. That is about chemotherapy. I will go now to the class is not over, boys and girls. Don't you want to study radiotherapy? I still haven't asked for the attendance. Please bear with me for 10 more minutes. And all of those who are putting their attendance, please, you're not leaving right now. You have to listen to a little bit more. This may come as a short note finally for you. I don't know if you'll again have a class. Radiotherapy is the application of ionizing radiation for destruction of malignant disease. Ionizing radiation can be electromagnetic, particulate. What are the units of radiation? One is gray, okay, gray of fractions. So 1 joule per kg of mass is 1 gray. 1 gray is equal to 100 radiation units. So the action of radiation depends upon the amount of radiation energy absorbed per unit mass. Types of radiation. It can be superficial or orthovoltage or supervoltage. If it is superficial, it just affects superficial tissues. And for deeper tissues, you require a higher voltage like orthovoltage or supervoltage radiation. So as energy increases, the penetration of the radiation increases and it gives a skin sparing effect. So how does cell death occur by radiation? It targets the DNA. It causes it reacts with the water to produce free radicals, which affect cell metabolism and cell reproduction. There is there is cell necrosis, cell apoptosis. What is apoptosis? Max, what is apoptosis and what is necrosis? Does anybody have any idea? We're just studying pathology as well. Yes, Manu, programmed cell death. And what is necrosis? The maximum action on cells occurs in the GAP2 and the M phase. You studied the cell cycle before. Now there is something called brachytherapy. Brachy is a word which means closed, very close. So in this, what we put is short rods containing radioactive material into the vagina or into the uterine cavity, and they do radiation over there of fluids. Radiation dose to tissue inversely proportional to the square root resistance, so the less damage is there to the surrounding tissues. Teletherapy, when the source of radiation is at least 100 centimeters away from the tissues. The sources are cobalt machines, beatatrons, or linear accelerators through multiple portals or directions. The use of stimulation for exact dosimetry is done, and the special rooms have to be created with thick concrete walls. There you can see an image. Teletherapy equipment. This rod over here, that is the brachytherapy rod. See these rods? These are placed in the vagina. You saw the image? This one? This is brachytherapy. The dose depends on the radiosensitivity of the tumor, what histopath diagnosis we have, and tolerance of host tissues, how big the tumor is, and time. Ideally, radiation should be completed in as short a time as possible, and There is something called fractionation and hyperfractionation. So, what is fractionation? When we divide the total dose required for the patient into multiple fractions so that the normal host cells can recover from the radiation. Okay, then it allows time for the host cells, for the malignant cells to come back in the active phase so the radiation can again be asked, allowed to work. Come on, boys and girls, you have 5 more minutes to listen to me. You're all putting your attendance. I hope you're not leaving. Okay, then how does fractionation help? It allows reoxygenation of tissues. The adverse effects of radiotherapy. Earlier, within days of receiving the radiotherapy, patients can have radiation thickness like nausea and vomiting, a fall in platelet count, WBC count, skin reactions, erythema, piece formation, mucosal reactions, diarrhea. Late reactions are skin edema and fibrosis, vaginal stenosis, radiation fibrosis, fractures, bowel and bladder problems, fistula formation, premature menopause. Where do we use radiotherapy? In cervical cancers, it is a primary therapy and adjuvant, that is after surgery. If there is a recurrence of disease, then we again use mm, where primarily radiotherapy has not been used, then radiotherapy can be used for palliative care where surgery is not possible, for hemostasis. Teletherapy is done to treat lymph nodes, to shrink malignant the tumor, and help in access to the uterine cavity for brachytherapy. The dose, I don't think you will remember this dose, but still I'll read it out for you. 5,000 to 6,000 centigrades as 200 centigrades per day for 5 days per week for 5 weeks. So in a 7-day week, the patient comes to the hospital for 5 days for receiving her radiotherapy. And she has to do like this for 5 weeks. Then there can be the various techniques for this fractionation. In brachytherapy, Stockholm technique, 2 applications are done 3 weeks apart. In Paris technique, one treatment period of 4 to 8 days. And Manchester is a modification of the Paris technique. Now, point A and point B are very important to us, but I think you'll not understand, so I'm not. In endometrial cancer, it is as an adjuvant therapy after surgical staging, and in primary therapy for when the disease has metastasized. It can be used for palliation for recurrent disease. In dysterminomas of the ovary, yes, Manu, in endometrial cancers, after stage 1B, you have to offer radiotherapy along with chemotherapy. You're correct. And in ovarian cancer, it has to be used in dysterminomas which are not responding to chemotherapy. Gestational trophoblastic tumors, it is used only in brain metastasis. Vaginal cancers, it is a primary treatment modality. Chemotherapy has no role, surgery and radiotherapy. Vulval cancers, to downstage the disease before undergoing surgery. In vulval cancer, also primary treatment is surgery. That's it for the class today. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
बीच स्टार्टिंग में डालते हैं बीच बीच में रोल नंबर आज हमारे